Welcome students. Today we are going to talk about the first function of management, that is planning. Okay. So every organization, whether it is a government, whether it is a private, or whether it is a small business, right? They require what? They require planning. Okay. These organization, they have different objectives, and their objectives can be, let's say, number one, increase in their sales. Okay, let's say, and number two, it can be gaining market share. Or let's say number three, earning higher profit. Okay, and simply we could keep it as number four is what to get success. Okay, these are the objectives or some of the objectives of every organization, whether it is a government, whether it is a private, or whether it is a small business. And for every organization, in order for them to achieve these objectives, planning is important. Planning is important. So now let us discuss about the meaning of planning. Okay, what is the meaning of planning? Planning means, number one, thinking in advance. Alright, about what? About what is to be done. Alright, how it should be done. Alright, when it should be done, and number last is who should do it. What is the meaning of planning? Planning means thinking in advance what is to be done, how it should be done, when it should be done, and who should do it. Or in simple words, planning bridges. Alright, bridges what? Bridges the gap between where we are right now, alright, between where we are right now and where we want to be. For example, suppose in 2019 our annual sales, alright, is rupees 1 crore. Alright, let's say for the year 2020 we want our annual sales to be rupees 1.5 crore. Okay, this is where we are right now, the year 2019, and this is where we want to be, alright, in 2020 in terms of annual sales. this annual sales is our objectives, right? Now, in order to achieve these objectives from 1 crore to 1.5 crores of our annual sales in 2020 as compared to 2019, right? What we must do? We must plan accordingly. We must what? Plan accordingly in order to achieve these objectives. Right. So planning bridges the gap. Okay, bridges the gap between where we are right now, 2019, our annual sales is 1 crore, to where we want to be in 2020, where we want our annual sales to be 1.5 crores. So this is how planning, all right, planning bridges the gap between where we are right now and where we want to be. Planning also involves Planning also involves setting of objectives, and deciding in advance, all right, the course of action, to achieve the desired objectives. Okay, planning also involves setting of objectives. All right, like I've told you before, that there can be various objectives of every organization, whether it is a government organization, whether it is a private organization, or whether it can be a small businesses. Each of those organization must set an objectives. Okay, and they have to decide in advance, the various course of actions, right, which they must do, all right, in the future in order to achieve those desired objectives. How they do that, we will discuss that in the later classes when we are doing the process of planning. Okay, so this is the definition of planning. Let us just recap. Planning means think in advance what to do, all right, how to do it, who should do it, and when it should be done, right? Yes or no? Planning bridges the gap between where we are right now, this one, to where we want to be in 2020. All right. Planning also involves setting of objectives and deciding in advance the course of action, all right, in order to achieve the desired objectives. Clear? So this is the meaning of planning. Next, we will learn about the various features, natures, or characteristics of planning. Now, the first feature of planning is planning contributes to objectives. Okay? Like I've said before, that every organization, whether it's a government organization, a private organization, or a small organization, they have their own objectives, right? Now, since they have their own objective, they want to achieve those objectives. Now, unless and until they do proper planning, all right, they will not be able to achieve their objectives. Okay, so if any businesses or any company, if they want to achieve their objectives which they have stated, okay, they can do only and only when proper planning is done. All right, unless and until proper planning is done, the company, all right, the workers of the company, the managers, they will not know what they should do, how it should be done, all right, when it should be done, and who should do it. All right, unless they do proper planning, they will not be able to achieve their objectives. The second features or characteristics of planning is planning is the primary function of management. Alright, planning is the first function to be performed by every manager. Alright, no other function can be performed by the manager without performing planning function. Okay, there are many functions of management. Number first is planning, then comes organizing, then comes staffing, then comes directing, then comes controlling. Right now, unless and until the planning function has completed, unless and until the manager has completed the planning function, they cannot perform any other function if they do not perform the planning function first. Now, if we come to the third characteristics of planning, planning is pervasive. Okay, what does this mean? It means that planning is available or planning is required. Okay, we can say that planning is required or planning is available at all levels of management and at all organizations. Okay, like I've said earlier, that every organization, all right, they have planning, they require planning in order to achieve their objectives. All right, not just that, in every organization there are different levels of management, the top level management, the middle level management, and the lower level management. Right, and in all these levels of management, planning is available. For example, in the top level management, they do planning for long term policies. Alright, they do planning for long term plans of an organizations. Right, all these is done in the top level management. Now, if we come to the middle level management, we have departmental managers. Right, and in each department, they have their own specific objectives. For example, there are various departments in the organization. Yes or no? Right? For example, the accounting and finance department, the sales department, the production department, right? Okay, the human resource department, the research and development department, right? And in all these departments, they have their own departmental objectives. And in order to achieve this departmental objectives, they must perform, all right, the function of management, which is planning. Okay, likewise, even in the low level management, we have managers. And these low level managers, they do plan in order to achieve the day to day objectives of the company. All right, in order to achieve the day to day objectives of the business. All right, let us come to the fourth function of planning. Okay, planning is forward looking. What does this mean? It means that when the managers or when the businesses or when the organization is doing planning, all right, is doing planning, planning is done always and always for the future period. Right, the business organizations, they have their own separate objectives, right, which are of the future. Okay, and in order to achieve these objectives, they must perform planning. Alright, planning is done in order to achieve the future objectives of the organization. Alright, let us come to the fifth feature of planning, which is planning is continuous. Is continuous. Alright, planning is a continuous process, or we can say planning is a never ending process. Alright, we all know that the managers of the organization, they do planning in order to achieve a desired objectives, or they do planning for a specified duration of time. But planning doesn't end when that particular desired objective has been achieved or when that duration of time is expired. Okay, For example, business ABC, alright, have a desired objective that the profit, that their annual sales be increased to rupees 1.5 crore. This is the objectives. Okay, for which year? For the year 2020. Fine. Now, this is their objectives after they have achieved their objectives. Suppose 2020 year has ended, and after they have achieved this objective of theirs, planning doesn't end here. Okay, the company or the manager will have to set up a new objective, and they will have to plan again in order to achieve the new objectives of their organization. Let us come to the 6 features of planning, which is planning involves decision making. Planning involves decision making. Okay, let me give an example. For example, alright, you have an objective. This is you, alright, and you have what? You have an objective. To get what? To get 90% marks, alright, in your results. Okay, you have the objective that you must get 90% marks in your result. Now, in order to achieve this objective, what you do is you do planning. That how much hours should I study? Suppose you have decided that, alright, you have planned that in order to achieve 90% in your result, you have to study at least 7 hours a day. This is your plan, right? This is your plan. And how will you study for this? How will you study for 7 hours a day? Some of the students may say that I will study 3 hours in the morning, alright, and plus 4 hours in the evening, right? Some of the students will say I will study 5 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. Some of the students will say that I'll study 7 hours in the morning, and some of the students will be saying that I will study 7 hours in the evening. So these are the various alternatives which is available for you, alright, in order to study 7 hours in a day so that you can achieve your 90% objectives. Right. So as a student, based on your potential, based on your capabilities, you have to select which alternative should I go for. Should I go for this alternative? Should I go this alternative? Should I go for this alternative? Or should I go for this alternative? What you have to do, you have to make a decision. Some of you will say that I'll go for this alternative. Some of you will say that I'll go for this alternative. Some of you will say that I will go for this alternative, and some of you will say that I will go for this particular alternative, depending upon your capabilities or depending upon your convenience. Right? Right? Which, in order to achieve what? In order to achieve a desired objective, you have to make a decision. Okay. Likewise, every organization, every managers of the organization, in order to achieve their objective, they have to plan. And when they do a planning, they have to take a decision that which alternative is the best alternative for the organization in order to achieve the desired objective of the organization. Which is why planning involves what? Involves decision making. Even the manager, they have to make a decision and select the best alternative for them in order to achieve the organizational objectives. Clear? So the 7 features of planning is a mental exercise. All right. The managers or the planners of the organization, all right, they have to do what? They have to plan, all right, about what are the activities, about what activities that they must do in order to achieve the desired objective. Now when they are planning about what are the activities they must do in order to achieve the organizational objectives, all right, when they plan, they must plan keeping in mind the future events which are expected to happen in the future. Or the manager or the planner, they have to make an assumption. They have to make an assumptions about the future. All right. How do they make assumption? By either scanning the environment, or by past experiences, okay, or through past experiences. All right, they have to scan the environment or through past experiences. Then they have to make an assumptions about what? They have to make assumption about the future. All right, only and only after they have done this, all right, they can plan what are the activities that as an organization they must do in order to achieve the organizational objectives. Now in order to do all these, all right, in order to do all these, the managers or the planners, they have to be very intellectual. They have to be very intellectual. Hence, planning is a mental exercise. Now, let us go to a new topic, that is the importance of planning. Okay, the first importance of planning is planning provides direction. Planning provides direction. Okay, like I've said earlier, that the definition that planning means thinking in advance what the organization should do, all right, how the organization should do it, and who should do it and when should do it. This gives a clear cut direction to the employees. Okay, since all the activities which must be performed by the employees is being laid down or is being stated in the plans of the organization, all right, the employees, they know exactly what they should do and how they should do it. Okay, in this way, planning provides what? Planning provides a direction to the organization or to the employees of the organization. Now, the second importance of planning is planning reduces risks of uncertainties. Planning reduces the risk of uncertainties. Okay, like I've said earlier, that when the managers or the planners of the organization, when they plan, what do they do? Is they make an assumptions about the future first. All right, they make an assumption about the future, that what is going to happen in the future. What are the possible events that is going to happen in the future? Based on the assumptions which they have made about the future, all right, they will what? They will prepare a plan. Since all the possibilities which is going to happen in the future, all right, have been taken into consideration by the managers when they are preparing a plan for the organization. All right, the uncertainties, all right, the risk of uncertainties reduces drastically. Okay. Now, the third importance of planning is planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. Planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activities. Since in the plan it has clearly mentioned that one employee has to do this work, another employee has to do this work, this department will have to do this work. Alright, everything has been stated in the plan. Okay, now since all the activities which are supposed to be done by the organization or by the employees of the organization has been stated in the plan, then no such activities, alright, will be overlapped or will be repeated by any other employee. Now, number fourth importance of planning is planning promotes innovative ideas. Planning promotes innovative ideas. Planning requires high thinking and is an intellectual process. So there is a great scope for finding great and innovative or new ideas. Okay? Better methods or procedures to perform activities, alright, can be found in the process of planning. So planning promotes innovative ideas. Clear? Number fifth importance of planning is planning facilitates decision making. Planning also helps managers to take good and swift decisions. Okay, since during the process of planning, the managers have already taken into consideration or they have already made an assumptions about the future, and in case if certain events happen in the future, what they should do, it has already been planned by the managers. Hence in the future, if there are certain uncertainties or certain events which is happening, all right, then in order to counter that event, all right, so in order to counter that event, the managers, okay, they know what to do. Okay, why they know what to do? Because they have already planned for such an event. Hence, planning facilitates decision making, or planning helps the managers to take good decisions, all right, and swift decisions. Clear? The sixth importance of planning is planning establishes standard of control. Okay, planning establishes standard of control. How? For example, in the year 2019, all right, the annual sales of a company is what? Rupees 1 crore. Let's say in 2020, all right, the company's objective is to increase the annual sales to rupees 1.5 crore. This is the actual sales now, annual sales now, and this is the desired or the annual sales in the year 2020 that the company wishes to achieve. Okay, and now the company, what they have done is, they, in order to achieve this, in order to achieve the annual sales of 1.5 crore, what the company has done is they have planned that what are the activities, that they must do in order to achieve this annual sale of 1.5 crore. Let's say there has been activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, activity 4. All right, the names of those activities are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there the company has followed all these activities, and at the end of the year, all right, and at the end of the year 2020, okay, let's say that annual sales is rupees 1.3 crore. Did they meet the target of 1.5 crore? No. Yes, no, they did not meet the target of 1.5 crore. Instead, their annual sales was only 1.3 crores. Isn't it? Right. That means something has gone wrong in these activities. Yes or no? That means something has gone wrong in these activities, which is why the company did not get 1.5 crore of annual sales. Yes or no? Right? Fine. So what the company can do here is they have to analyze in which activities they have gone wrong, all right, and take control measures or corrective measures. This is how planning establishes a standard of control. Okay, they have planned to get 1.5 crore in annual sales, but they were not able to get it. Because they were not able to get it, the manager will have to take certain control measures or corrective measures so that in the future they will be able to achieve their target objectives. Clear? Fine. So we have come to the end of the first lecture on planning. Alright, we will continue the second lecture on part 2 of planning. Okay, thank you.